Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Sit Down Talk podcast. My name is Kier.
And I'm Noémie, and I'm back.
She's back. She's back. And we welcome you. Clap it up for you for being up in this joint. Round of applause. If you are new here, welcome. Make sure you binge all of our episodes. This is a fantastic podcast. Probably some of the most high-level conversation that you're going to hear about love, partnership, and relationships. Not just 50-50 conversations. Not just, I need my man to be or a woman is supposed to submit. No, that's low-level bull. And we're talking above and beyond that because you deserve better. But if you are a group of people that we refer to, I'm in my bag today.
Okay,
I feel it coming.
Okay, come on.
If you're a group of people that we refer to as repeat offenders, bring that thing in. Bring it in. Hugs. Last week I didn't have hugged them. I gave fist bumps.
Yeah, I mean,
we gotta keep our children safe.
Yeah.
Boundaries are important.
Yeah, she don't know y'all like that.
So today's episode is a continuation of a conversation that we had before. We had a episode around needs. What do you need from me? Which is a question I know a lot of people ask in their relationships and probably don't get the answer that they're really looking for. So we wanted to expound on that, and I'm gonna let Noémie give y'all more details because she's brilliant at talking about this.
So, I mean, let's just pick up where we left off. In that last episode, we're going to tag it somewhere up here below. I keep above. It's going to show up.
You'll see it.
But basically in that episode, we talked a lot about just how hard it is to even ask for what you need. And a lot of times we get stuck because on one hand there is asking for what you need and giving constructive criticism, but in the other hand, of course, there's a piece of defensiveness that gets there. And I think a lot of people get stuck on, okay, finally I asked what I need. Now what? So this conversation is going to be like, what does support look like in real life now that you've had that conversation? So if you haven't had that conversation already, go back to that last episode and then come back to this one.
That's such a good thing to talk about because I think the way that we frame, I know I'm always bagging on social media because I think social media deserves to be bagged on for all the good things it does. It cripples us a lot too.
For sure.
But oftentimes on social media, when we talk about love and relationships and when we're having these conversations, we talk about it from the perspective of the person that needs something, but not from the perspective of the person that's trying to help. And the truth of the matter is a lot of us are very challenging people to help. And
we are humans. We are all challenging people. We don't even know what we want.
And look, even if you're going through depression, anxiety, recent loss, all of those things, the tough thing about partnership is it's the that and. You have that, and that deserves space and it deserves grace, and you are still responsible for being a good partner. And it is your responsibility to be a easier person to give help to. So that's one of the things I know we're going to talk about because I'm not always an easy person to help. And I'm realizing that, and I'm trying to do better.
And the thing is, and neither am I. I think a lot of us get hung up on the fact that we don't know what we need. We don't know how to ask for help. Like, yeah, but that's a lot of us, you know what I mean? And I think that it's very easy for us to, box ourselves into these narratives about what we're supposed to be doing and how we fall short of that. And what I hope by the end of this conversation, we're in a place where, we're not necessarily striving for perfection. We're just striving to kind of get to the next goalpost.
Man, that's such a good point. This obsession that we have with perfection is something that I do not always understand, but I always try to lean into understanding. I don't strive to be perfect. I probably take it a little bit too far because I don't give a
He does not.
Perfection for who? Like for me or for the world?
Yeah.
And the things that you give the world that you don't keep for yourself, I don't always find a lot of value in that. So, but I do understand that a lot of people are looking for perfection.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like I'm like that. You know what I mean? I definitely tend to be more on the perfectionist side than not. But a lot of it just has to do with how I was raised.
I was going to say, where does that come from? What are you trying to get through perfectionism?
It's not an active, like, I want to be perfect today. It is, as a child, I'm not acknowledged in the same way unless I have something for the people around me to be proud of. I was that kid that was known to always do exceptional things. So like normal wasn't accepted. Average was never accepted for me. So I have kind of, I guess, grown into this habit of going above and beyond for everything, even things that don't necessarily require it, because that validation is still really important to me.
Yeah, that's a worth value visibility thing. In the comments below, I want you to tell me if you are a perfectionist, which this is an invitation, it's not an indictment. We're not getting on you. But if you're a perfectionist, what drives your perfectionism? What are you trying to get? How did you get there? When do you first remember being a perfectionist? What was happening to you at that point in your life? I'm curious to know. So just put that in the comments below.
And I think that perfection, really, bars for real.
Yeah, that rhyme.
And I think that perfection piece is so important too, because in partnership, I'm not going to say we're expected. I'm just going to speak for me. I feel like I'm sometimes expected to have the answers for things. Like I should know how to take care of my family. I should know how to take care of my man. You know, you are very communicative. Like, you are very open. I should be able to easily help you. I should be able to easily show up for you in the way that you need me. And when you kind of look at that from a perspective, like the perspective of perfection, when you don't get it right or when you fall short, it's devastating. You know what I mean? And then you create even more narratives about how you're not good enough, about how you should be. Oh, I know you hate the shoulds.
Oh,
how,
yeah.
You know, how you should be better. You known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like in partnership in general, when it comes to support, I think we have to look, instead of like whether this support need has been met, and like contrasting it with that person's effort. And you have to find the middle ground. And I think that's where people get hung up on. It's like, okay, your intention is there, but you're not doing it, so it's nothing. But there needs to be an acknowledgement of the action. You know what? We're gonna get deeper into this. I do have an outline.
You jive cooking right now.
I got an outline because I know we tend to go off on tangents.
People don't mind the tangents.
True.
I think that's an us thing.
I think sometimes I get in front. Let's just keep it 1,000. This is a subject that we are currently working on. I feel like a lot of times we usually talk to you guys about things that we had just recently kind of gone through. And I think through talking about this conversation and seeing y'all's feedback, it warranted a part
Second
2
discussion for sure.
And the part 2 is happening in real time. We are asking each other some of these questions
through this
for the first time on camera, and we gonna post it. So you're gonna get what you get.
I don't understand the gatekeeping of the marriage stuff. I do. Because you don't want everybody in your
and
business.
you want to protect your marriage. Like, I don't know that it's always gatekeeping. I think sometimes it's just protection, because we're still raising a generation where we're not supposed to be putting our business out there in the streets, and here we are.
I agree, but there is a distinction between perfection and like not perfection. I'm sorry, protection and safeguarding and being dishonest. And what happens is when the group of people are protecting and safe, honest, when the group of people who are protecting and safeguarding aren't visible with the truth that a lot of us need to hear, or just their perspective, we get the loudest voices in the room, which is the people who have the perfect marriages that look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside they don't have the emotional touch points to really stand the test of time.
So they have
no idea how to love each other.
Exactly. And you're basing your relationship goals on like a not true filter of what marriage looks like. Listen, I get it.
It happens.
So I'm going to take it back into corporate America a bit. Maybe not so much corporate America, but like
you look
teaching.
Good today.
Thank you, baby.
You look good often, but you
look
edible today.
Yeah. You hungry?
Always. Ooh. That brother starving.
That is not what we're talking about today. Yeah. All right, let's get through this conversation because we got
things to do.
Play with me
if you want to.
All right, y'all. So back in when I was teaching, we used to do things like, you know how people do pros and cons? We would always do like what's working and areas for improvement. And I feel like if you are going to have this conversation with your partner, even if you're thinking about having the conversation, always start with the things that are going well. If you ever go and be like, look, this is what I needed. This is how I need you to support me. You ain't doing this. I need you to. It's never going to go well. And I'm speaking from experience because I was that person and he ain't that person to be talking to like that. Nah, so it just, we will bump heads.
But there are limitations.
But also I think that even when you are about to hear criticism about yourself, like me personally, like sandwich it. Give me some positivity. You know what I mean? Then sprinkle in the criticism and then tell me I'm great again. And then I'm good. That's all you got to do for me.
Can I insert one thing?
Yeah.
Hope I don't derail you. If you are one of those people who feels like you shouldn't have to do that, I shouldn't have to give you the compliment before I say the hard thing, I think that's a reasonable thing to think. I don't think you're crazy for that. But my question is always, what does that take away from you to give the positive first? Yeah. What are you withholding? What are you withholding from this person? What do you think they're going to do by getting that? What do you think they're going to forget or take advantage of? Because oftentimes, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but oftentimes that's a thought that deserves more consideration, because the person probably needs the thing that you're withholding from them. But, you know, if they being an it's hard to remember that a cactus needs to be watered too. Happens.
That's real. All right, let's get the conversation started. So like I said, we want to start with something positive. So I want to pose a question for you, Mr. Gaines. Can you name maybe a moment in recent history, like the past couple of months or something, where you felt like unexpectedly that I was really supportive of you, or maybe something you were doing or something that you were going through?
So I had a shoot in LA and Noémie was on set with me. And I was talking into the camera, and for some reason, it just was a disconnect between what I wanted to say and what was coming out. And there's a room full of like these high-level executives.
It was full of people in that room.
And executives from the shooting team and executives from our management agency. It was just a lot of people in there, and the camera this close to my face. And I wasn't connecting like I do here on the sit-down talk. And Noémie just said, hey, y'all. Like, she saw there was a disconnect between what they were looking for and what I was doing. And she said, hey, can I try something real quick? And it was like, I mean, yeah. And she took initiative and she said, babe, what they want you to say is boop, 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 boop. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that. You just want me to do me. And after that, boom, it flew like butter. And I think it was really brave of you in that moment to take the initiative in a room full of very intimidating people.
Yeah.
You know, very high level folks, and say, I know this man. I know that y'all are talking, but he's not picking up what you're saying. And you made that connection. And to me, that made me feel really supported, because this entrepreneur space, the business space, when you're the brand in a business, the family kind of has to move around you. The family moves with my calendar. I hate it, but it's just the way it works. When you're the sole provider, a lot of times, especially when you're an entrepreneur, a lot of the effort goes to helping the business. And I think it's easy to conflate helping the business with helping me. And me, the business, gets the assistance, but me, the person, doesn't get it. It just gets lost in the sauce. And I felt like in that moment, you were supportive of me, the person. And that felt damn good. Yeah, I really appreciated that.
Oh, man. Thank you, baby. Just a little tangent on that. I had an out-of-body experience because after the shoot wrapped and we got home, like, I was very proud of myself for speaking up, but like, I don't even remember. I remember being frustrated. I got what they were saying, but I didn't know why they just weren't saying that. You know what I mean?
They don't know me.
Exactly. And it wasn't until like afterwards when we went back to the hotel, I was like, damn, did I do too much? Did I overstep? And I was in my head.
And we had a conversation. And what did I say to you? You remember?
I don't remember.
I don't even, damn.
It was, yeah.
Oh, I think it was something in the vein of, there is no overstepping when you see a need that has to be met and you're the person to meet the need. And just look at the people around you. Nobody felt like you were overstepping because
Nobody
you bridged
did.
the gap. You're the only person in that room that knew me. And you can tell that there was a disconnect and you stepped in. I know overstepping has been a theme in our relationship, and I know it's sensitive, but babe,
for those who don't know, overstepping has been a theme in our relationship.
I will venture to say this. This is my gender thing, not an indictment. It's an invitation. I will venture to say a lot of men think that a lot of women overstep. And I get it. Y'all community is just different from ours. That in your community is not overstepping. It's showing love. In our community, you're doing way too much. You need to fall back. And that was a theme in our relationship early on. It's not anymore. And I don't feel like you overstep, but I hope that you trust me to know that when I feel like you're encroaching, I'll tell you in a nice way.
Yeah,
but when's the last time I told you
you haven't?
It's been years.
But it's more of me kind of being in my head.
I hear that.
And I feel like I really want to go back to that when we talk about in more depth about the support conversation, because that's something that I've noticed is, you tell me to fall back, I'm 2 states away now. I'm not even close. Like, don't tell me you don't want me. You will never see me again.
It's a wrap.
And I tend to overdo it in those ways because of past traumas, because of things that I've been through. And you kind of touched on this. I don't know if we talked about it right now or if we talked about it before we hit record, but like bringing in past traumas into the relationship and responding to those things as opposed to responding to what's actually in front of you. I think our past traumas can taint a situation and allow us to look at it a certain way when in fact that's not the case at all.
It's not happening to you right now.
You know?
And that's not gaslighting you. That's
No,
just the
no, no,
truth.
no.
That's not happening to you right now.
Exactly. It's not, and it's something that we have to be not necessarily hyper aware of, because there's some issues with being hyper aware of anything, but just something to be open to that being the possibility.
For sure.
To always give the benefit of the doubt. Like, is that really what's going on, or is that something else? And I think that's always a soft enough question to ask yourself whenever these situations arise. But just going back to like what's going well with the support conversation, I have a couple of examples of how I feel like you've unexpectedly been really supportive.
Please tell me, because I was just talking to the homie today, like, bro, I gotta be a better husband. I gotta plan some dates and stuff.
Yeah, you do.
It's a lot going on. But that's not an excuse, but god damn.
I think it's more of allowing me, I don't let myself get emotional and harbor on things and vent on things and complain about things again because of past trauma from my childhood and like just things that weren't, I wouldn't say not allowed. Yeah, they actually weren't allowed. I wasn't allowed to complain. I wasn't allowed to complain about anything. I wasn't really allowed to vent. Even now, I'm expected to say it, move on, and go on with my life.
That's not sustainable.
It's not. And I thought it was normal for 30 plus years of my life. And it's to the point where I really have trouble venting. And when I do, like, you're having two conversations with me. You're making me feel okay about venting, because I'm going to say I don't need to complain about 50 times in the conversation. And you're going to get annoyed. So I need you to try not to get annoyed with me. And then also I need you to actually hear in between the lines of what I'm saying, because I'm not going to say it up front. And that's been a source of frustration with a lot of people in my life. They love me, but it's like, you're hard to get to. And I feel like the way that you have been supportive is you don't make me feel bad that I feel bad about complaining. If I have to say something, if I have to talk about the same situation for 40 minutes, you'll let me. And I've never been comfortable to do that with anybody outside of my therapist. It was one day we were in the bathroom, and the bathroom is like our favorite place to talk. It's where we hide away from our kids. We've upgraded. Our bathroom is way nicer than it was in the last house, so we can get a little bit more comfortable.
It's like 5 times bigger too.
But for the first time, I took advantage of my husband being a therapist, and I literally had a therapy session. I intentionally try not to get into those spaces. Yeah. But like, it was just, I forget what I was venting about. I'm very emotional now.
I remember, but I just don't think it's for the sit down talk.
Okay, that's fine. But in my head, one part of my brain is like, girl, you're doing too much. Like, he already got to listen to his clients all day. And, he does this for a living. Like, you supposed to be his wife, not his client, and blah, blah, blah. But I was just so low at that moment. And you just handled me with such care, such tenderness. Like, I've already said on the sit down talk how safe I feel in this relationship, but it's like, I feel like I didn't deserve to get the therapist you know what I mean? Like, that's your job. I shouldn't encroach on that part of like your life and your profession. But the fact that I could, and you didn't make me feel bad. You didn't make me feel like I was annoying. Like, I was literally rambling for 45 minutes. Our kids were coming in and out of the bathroom trying to figure out what's going on. And I just felt like nothing in the world mattered but me in that moment. And I've never felt like that with anybody before.
Wow. If you never spelled that out to me that way, I would never know. I didn't think it was that meaningful to you.
Because it's something that, like, the source of where that comes from, you don't suffer from that. So it's like, I don't expect you to understand how monumental and why that's important to me unless I explain it to you. Mm-hmm. But I have trouble talking about my feelings. So 9 times out of 10, that's not going to happen. I've just never had, like, I know you're supportive, but I've never had somebody support me in that way without making me feel bad about this muscle not being as established as I think. I'm not gonna say it should be, but most people complain. Most people vent. Most people have outlets.
It's a great way to process your feelings.
I don't, and I never have. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And in the moments where I did kind of feel like I felt like it's annoying. You know what I mean? And it felt really good to open up in that way. And I got some really good advice at the end of the day too. And I felt so much better. I know I probably dumped on you a bit, but I felt better at the end. But I also didn't feel bad. Like, you didn't make me feel bad for dumping in that moment.
It's so interesting that you think that you dumped on me, because there are times when I think you're unaware, but you do dump on me, and you're completely unaware that you're doing it. It is what it is. We do that to each other.
Yeah, but it feels good to be safe to do that.
But in that moment, that was not dumping. And in that moment, it's not about me being a therapist. I'm a therapist off camera. I'm a therapist on camera. I don't even have to think about it. I just process it. I can always let the chopper fly. I always see the thing.
Yeah.
The hard part
You see it
isn't
from a mile
seeing
away.
and sharing
Yeah.
the thing. The hard part is not saying it.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like you took advantage of or encroached on anything.
Is it funny to you?
Now I was about to say y'all encroach on my wallet.
I mean,
But
I don't got a job.
But it's you do have a job,
Well, I don't
babe.
got a paycheck, an individual paycheck. So I got
Well, hell, after we pay all the
You don't
bills,
have a
I don't got a
paycheck
paycheck either. But it's fine. I'm always here to give you that. And I'm always going to have grace for the space that you need to grow into this person that you're becoming, because you're starting to understand more about yourself. You're starting
Yeah.
to see the world differently. You're starting to see yourself more objectively now that you're a parent. You're starting to see your childhood differently. When we first met, you looked at your childhood like somewhat through not rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, I
but
did.
There was a lot of, what do you call it?
Like, my childhood was a standard. Like,
It's-
that's what it was supposed to be.
It was viewed through the prism of optimism, and now you're starting to view things through the prism of realism.
Goodness gracious, girl.
But it's cool though. That's growth. Some people it happens at 15. Some people it happens at 51. Some people it never happens. But when I married you, I didn't just marry you the person. I married you the past, the present, the future, the whole thing. So I'm
Say that one more time. 'Cause
I don't know what I said.
Said I didn't marry you for basically who you were at that moment. I married you for your past, your present, and who you could turn
I said
into.
that?
In so many words.
Damn,
yes.
that's good.
You just said it.
I don't.
You see, the man just brilliant. He just opened his mouth and amazingness comes out.
I received that. Thank you. The man talks for a living, and you say a lot of words. You forget what you say sometimes, especially when it's from the heart. But yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. I always got time for you for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe.
I didn't know that. That's why.
That meant so much.
That's why communication is so important. And the
Yeah,
whole,
man.
if a person wanted to, they would. I hate when people say that. You can't confirm that with anything but just unconfirmed suspicion.
There's so much
you can't
nuance in
confirm that.
How many times have you been in a situation with somebody, a friend, a partner, whatever, and you've created this whole story in your head about how they felt, and you thought they was mad at you. You thought their energy was weird, and X, Y, and Z happened. And now you in your feelings based on what you think that person thinks about you. And then you have a conversation with that person that had nothing to do with you, and they have no idea what you're talking
They
about.
weren't even thinking about you the whole time.
Listen, and they didn't even think nothing negative about you. Like, for real. Can I give a practical example
Yeah,
really
please.
quick? So my best friend had her bachelorette brunch, situation, and it was a weekend where Kier was
I
out
didn't
of
even
town.
ask you about that. Yeah.
Kier was out of town, and
Your car started tripping.
My car started tripping on the way to drop the kids at the last minute. Aunt's house. I was already late.
It was bad.
It was bad. And this is like
bad.
my best friend.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the time, so okay, the car's not working. Let me catch a Uber. Cherry blossom season. It's in DC.
Traffic
Not
bumper to
only
bumper.
was it going to take me $120 to get there one way, it was going to
Disgusting.
take me an hour and 15 minutes, and I would have been there literally after it ended.
Equally as disgusting.
So I'm just like, yo, like, I'm not gonna make it. In my head, I was like, oh my God, like, I feel horrible. Like, she shows up for me for everything, and I can't show up for her for this. Like, why didn't I stay on top of my schedule? Like, I was just so in my feelings about it. So it was supposed to be a surprise event. So I call her cousin to tell her that I can't make it. So I call her the next day, go straight to voicemail. I'm like, okay, that's weird. I call her again and go straight to voicemail. I'm like, oh my God, like, I already feel horrible. Like, oh my God. So then I call her the next day because I knew she had to go. It was her first day back in the office. So I call her and she's like, hey, boo. And I'm like, oh my God, she's fine. She's not mad at me. She doesn't hate me. And I was telling her everything that happened. She was like, girl, that's crazy. I wouldn't come either. And I created, this whole thing that I had to do in my mind to make it up to her because I thought I was a bad friend. And it's just like, it goes to show that, like, she's my friend for that reason. She knows I wouldn't not show up for, you know what I mean?
Unless,
like, she
yeah.
understands my situation, and she allows me to show up for her in the way that I'm capable of. And, like, our friendship just works. And when you think about how long we've been friends, it's been over 10 years. Like, we've always had that friendship, we've always had that grace with each other. But you know, it's kind of hard when you create these narratives in your head and they trigger, you know, certain insecurities that you have, and you literally can create a whole world in your head that does not exist.
A lot of people live in the world in their head that does not exist, and again, that's not gaslighting. That's just an objective observation. But I'll say this, and then we can move on. The only thing that's more comfortable and convenient and low hanging fruit than living in the world in your head is not doing the work to confirm whether or not it's true.
That's hard.
And just living in that space, because it's easy to just live in, you know, this is what's happening to me and it validates my feelings, and we're obsessed with our feelings being validated. I understand why, but sometimes we take it way too far. And if you don't do the extra step to confirm whether or not what you think is true, it's not just a room in your head, it becomes a prison, you know. And you don't always fish don't always know they're in an aquarium, bruh.
And what you were saying before about kind of like being in a prison in your mind and like not confirming whether like this is actually your reality, if you're living in this delusional world, I think it's a great segue to the next section. And the next section here is, you know, when it comes to supporting, I feel like a lot of us have good intentions, but more often than not, we miss the mark, because all of the ways that we feel like we should support, we do support, we can support are, what's the word that you say? They're always related. You say something, they are, I don't know, I'm not going to talk like here, but they're related to our childhoods. They're related to our past relationships. And I think sometimes we get so stuck on what it is we're doing, we don't actually see whether it's actually working. So a lot of people are like, I was there for you, I did X, Y, and Z. And the other person is like, yeah, cool, but that's not what I needed.
Nor is that ever what I asked of you.
So I think that, like you said, it's very hard to get to the state, I guess, where you're trying to confirm whether those things are true. And I kind of want to do that now.
Okay.
So like, you know,
okay.
I feel like we're close enough. I know we're about to get, like I said, we're doing this in real time.
I like that. Nah, let's do it.
So you might hear me tripping over my words a bit, because whenever I speak to Kier, we're really talking about like real shit. I like to be careful about my words. Kier and I are very big semantics people, so the way that you say things and the words that you use matter.
We'll get caught up in the words,
man.
And it's not even about the conversation
exactly.
no more. We don't want to do that.
So I'm trying to create the question in my mind is, are there any times that you can identify or see or remember where you know I was trying, but I just wasn't hitting the mark?
Hell yeah.
Oh shit. All right, come on, let's do it.
Man, you did something one time in the last house. I don't remember. Oh, I remember.
Can we do recent? And this is why I'm asking. I want to get a temperature check on where we are now. And the reason why I'm asking this question specifically is because I don't want this to be an example. If you're using us as an example to have this conversation with your partner, for there to be dumping. You know what I mean? If we're at a place, ain't dumping. Well, I'm. It's more for the audience because they won't be like, well,
not for me. For y'all. Recently, I'm not sure.
Maybe not recently, but like, let's just be mindful about the ways that we have kind of elevated in our relationship, and something that I can still learn from now.
This is just the only example I have.
That's fine.
So I don't know if I want to get into details of what happened, but there was just a misunderstanding between Noémie and I was out with a group of friends, and she asked me to come home early. And I don't know if you were pregnant, but it was just a tough part in our relationship. Our baby was very young. I think E was like 2 or 3. It was just tough. We were still trying to work through past stuff and trying to figure out current stuff. And I was frustrated I got asked to come home early. And we had a big argument, and you apologized to me, but you wrote it in a letter. Do you remember that? Yeah, because I just think saying it out loud was a little tough. So you wrote the letter, and I can tell that you were trying. Like you were trying to say, hey, this is my bad for doing this. This is the most comfortable way I can express myself. In that moment, I just didn't have any grace for you.
Gotcha.
I didn't have the bandwidth, but I can tell you were trying. I think back to that moment often because you're so different now. You now, that would have never happened now. But not only that, you just look at me like, babe, I'm sorry. You just drop your shoulders and look, and it just this big heartfelt apology, like, babe, I'm so sorry. Go out next week. Take 2 days. You'll probably overdo it after a while. Like, nah, I'm good. But I could tell you were trying. The reason that sticks out to me is because in that moment it wasn't enough for me. I wanted to ball that paper up and throw it in the trash. Like, say that Shit out loud, dog. Don't be whispering apologies.
Kier needs his I'm sorry loud.
Don't
Loud and immediate. Okay.
I need the I'm sorry to be just as loud as the accusation.
Yeah.
Or I ain't trying to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm still like that. I'm a down that hill.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah,
It's all right.
I feel all right about it.
I know you do, baby.
I don't feel no ways about it. But yeah, that's one example that pops out in my mind.
Okay.
You do that so infrequently now.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you where I feel like I don't support you enough in my head. And
Oh,
you
okay.
tell me how wrong I am.
Okay.
Because I still feel like I'm right, but I'm living in a delusional world in my mind and I'm trying to get clarity.
This is
right?
a good exercise. Let's go.
When you were talking before about supporting the business versus supporting the person, I'm just going to free think.
Get it out.
I don't always know if I'm intentionally distinguishing between how I'm helping the business and how I'm helping you. I feel like because I love you and I care about you, the source of all of this, before the business, before the kids, I've always loved you and I've always cared about you. And even before I loved you, I've always deeply cared about you. I've always cared about you feeling supported and you feeling like you had people. Like when I first met Kier, I learned about his mom, I learned about his dad, I learned about his relationship with his family and how things had changed from when he was, a teenager till now. And like that just created such a soft space in my heart for you even before our relationship started. So I feel like I may not be intentionally distinguishing between how I support the business and how I support you. I know I support you because I know my heart supports you. But sometimes I feel like I don't do it intentionally enough, that it's hard for me to kind of separate you and the business. Like the sit down talk. Yes, I'm talking to my husband, but there's still cameras and,
Got
headphones.
2 laptops right there. Laptop right here, camera
like,
here, and the camera there.
There's a mic right here. So it's like, it's definitely produced. And sometimes I just feel like the lines get so blurry between the two. And sometimes I feel like, you don't feel as supported by me. As Kier, the person, as my husband, outside of like the father of these kids and I'm trying to help take care of.
I actually agree.
I mean? Okay.
I agree. But this is the thing. This is why I don't hold that against you. I don't know what I need. I can't even tell you where to start because all of this is so new. And I feel like sometimes I'm lost up under the business stuff.
Yeah.
I just went to Whole Foods today and the one was like, oh my God, you're Kier Gaines, which we had a dope moment, but my life and the business has become almost inseparable. I can't tell you what I need. I don't know. So I can't task you with a thing that I myself can't name, identify, and put my finger on.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can support me. To be honest, I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea.
That didn't sting as much as I thought it would.
And not only that, but and we can have this conversation later if y'all want. The popular reframe is your marriage comes first, the kids come second. Of course, we feel that way.
Yeah.
That's not realistic all the time. I can't.
It's
The
not.
kids are the priority right now.
They are also the problem. Listen. We love these
You
babies.
preaching now.
We love these babies.
That's a whole thing on social media. The kids aren't the problem in your relationship. Hey yo, speak.
Okay.
Shut up.
But you know what?
Shut up.
This is a situation
speak for
where
your own relationship, fam.
people don't talk about that as much. Oh my God, there's something viral going out. Is it Bruce Willis's daughter?
Parents are so dishonest, man.
It's somebody that was just like, I've never met a parent that loved being a parent. And they were just saying like parenthood is this like myth of happiness. And it was just like, listen, I agree.
I
with
do not love
everything.
being a parent. I love my kids.
She said parenthood is miserable. This is the thing. I agree with everything that she said. It is. It's miserable. It's the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. Like sometimes I want to deal with these kids. I just want to be my man on the beach. I want to be like, I can't even go to Cabo. Why can't I go to Cabo? Because it takes 2 flights. And who's going to watch two kids? And like, I don't want to be jet lag on the way back. Like it's
pay
just
the
not worth
nanny
it.
$250 a day.
Listen, and I'm gonna still be tired, and the clothes still gonna be dirty, and I'm still gonna have to cook when I come back. Like what? Why am I even going?
That's crazy, dog.
But that girl is also, I want to say she's like 24, 25. I don't expect a 24, 25-year-old who's not married without kids to understand that while kids and parenthood is miserable, it's also the most beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
The most amazing thing that I've ever done in my life. And at the end of the day, after these kids done run me raggedy, it's 2:00 in the morning, I'm in there kissing them in their face.
We in Sydney.
Just last night.
Sydney been kicking out.
And then we look at her, I'm like, oh, look how beautiful she looks.
2-year-olds get the smoke that 3-year-olds deserve. Yep. 3 is the hardest age to parent. They are not They are terrible people, man. They're unreasonable. They got these emotions they can't regulate. It's like an old friend whose personality changed, and you can't have a friend break up because you still love them too much. But where we at yesterday, 1:00 in the morning, kissing her face and fawning over her
in her room, tiptoeing.
She cooking us right now, dog. She cooking us.
But
I wouldn't trade her for the world, though.
I see somebody said it's about Sydney too. I was talking about how somebody was saying how one of the Gaines girls at the school is like a trip, and they were like, I know it's not Emery, and I'm like, no, it's Sydney. And I was like, Sydney up there. Like she up there. And they were like, no, she's just a future CEO and she just needs people to know
I talked to the same lady. I know exactly what you're talking about. She is a huge Sydney fan.
But she don't know nothing.
She don't know nothing about Emery.
But I get it. That's the duality of Sydney. I think that she's very difficult to handle as her parent because, you know, she asks questions, she wants clarity, she wants to know, she wants to do everything herself.
Super strong self-advocate.
You know what I mean? And like if something don't make sense, and like 9 times out of 10 the shit that we say to kids don't really make sense. Just get out of my face.
And you can't you can't convince her that something makes sense if it doesn't make sense.
She needs to see it for herself.
Let me see.
Yep.
I need the evidence.
Yep. And she remembers mommy, earlier you said X, Y, and Z. Like the tea thing, I told her she can get tea. That's why she was crying. She was like, mommy, you said. I'm like, I know.
I hate when kids hold you accountable.
It's too late. You know what I mean? It's too late in the day. You know, maybe, and I'm sorry, maybe us trying to do tea before bed is the wrong decision. Let's try when we get home. You know what I mean? And that's my 3-year-old. That's how I talk to my 3-year-old.
Cindy gonna be a problem in this world in all the most wonderful ways.
We spent this long not talking about kids. Let's end it and move on.
Shawty a beast.
And move on. So you kind of gave me some insight on, I guess, ways or a way that me trying to support you kind of fell short. You ready to hear some?
Yeah, I knew this was coming.
I don't want y'all to think that this is just an opportunity to talk my No,
I love these opportunities because if you don't tell me, I don't know. And I'm a person who, it might sting, but I much rather it sting now than it be something that you internalize and then 4 years later our marriage all jacked up because it was never a conversation.
Yeah. I don't think this is gonna sting, but it's not gonna feel great for a different reason. Okay. So you've mentioned, or Kier has mentioned a lot, like in the past like couple of months, like he's been having conversations with people and then he feels like he needs to kind of support me a little bit more, give me a little, I don't know what the exact term was, but just kind of like not acknowledging all that I'm doing, but like try to find a way to help me get to where I need to go, especially with all of these like new roles that I'm in and not really taking care of myself. And I agree, but I feel like for such a long time I felt that way, but I felt guilty for feeling that way because I felt like you were still trying so hard. And like, what more could you do? So I intentionally didn't share the moments where I felt like that because, one, not that I didn't think you could handle it, but I didn't see the purpose in telling you that you needed to do more in an area where there just wasn't capacity to do more. Mm-hmm. And I'm never in the business of making you feel bad for the sake of making you feel bad. Mm-hmm. I hate doing that. And my default answer, even when she's like, babe, why don't you, no, it's okay, I'll do it. Or no, it's okay, it's fine. And when it don't be fine. And I don't know why I be saying fine when it's not fine. But I think like you kind of opening up to me about wanting to do those things more freed me from, I guess, sheltering you from those feelings. Yeah. And I think like I'm feeling that in such a real way. And like the things that I need aren't necessarily things that only you can do. I need more solo time in the house alone, to be alone for 1, to clean for 2, and to do things that I think are fun for 3. Mm-hmm. So it's like sometimes I want to be in the bed. I want to drop the kids off and come home and do nothing for the rest of the day and literally sit in the bed and watch the ceiling. That's one way that I want to like show up a little bit more for myself. Second way is some days I want to watch my Netflix shows all day. That's different from laying in the bed, you know, and then other days like I want to decorate the house or I want to clean up the house. Like I don't feel like I have enough time. Like I have one day on Wednesdays, if you do pick up and drop off, if I'm not tired, to do all of those things. And I end up being way more burnt out than I would have been if I just did nothing. What I end up doing is I end up being stuck in this place where I don't move forward. So like I wanted to organize the clothes in our room. I haven't done it because the times where I finally do have it, my body is so tired. Sometimes I sit for 3 hours. And it's just like, yo, like this is not sustainable. I've been looking at my face and like I feel like I look old. I'm not old. I mean, I am old, but I'm tired. Like I'm tired. I'm dehydrated. I'm not taking care of my skin. I'm not eating healthy. I'm eating the kids' cold chicken nuggets. Like I'm turning into the moms that the people be talking about, on TV. So like the support there, just one small aspect of the support is just time, and I think sometimes like the change in Kier's schedule, like sometimes Kier got to pick up and just do stuff and we have to adjust.
I mean, on the last minute, and it's not always something that I would choose to do.
No, he don't want to do it half of the time. And most of the time I am pushing him to do it because it is a good opportunity, but it's just been happening so often that like that's less and less and less time for myself.
Eats at your time.
Yeah, and it's to the point where I'm not even showing up for myself the way that I want to. So it's just like I've always felt guilty about saying that to you because I know you already feel bad about it, but it's like there's only 24 hours in the day.
I'm so glad that we're having this conversation.
But yeah, I kind of want to end it there and kind of see where you're at with everything I said.
I completely agree. And I think that everything you just said is so reasonable. It's so reasonable. And I think it's something that's doable for me. I've been trying to deliberately build my capacity a little bit because one thing I appreciate about you is I'll go off on a work trip and I'll come back and I'm dog. I've been traveling, I've been talking, I've been moving, I've been grooving. And for some people, you say that's not work. That's fine. I said the same thing. When I had a 9 to 5, I said the same thing. I challenge you to be in my job for a month. You would want to jump off of a bridge.
I don't even want to be in his
guarantee you. It's so much more than you think. No, you don't have to think this much. I've never thought this much at a 9 to 5. Like I kind of off sometimes. And, off at your 9 to 5 is fine. You off when you're an entrepreneur. You don't eat.
Yeah.
It's different. That aside, I've been trying to build my capacity to take the kids out of the house more.
Yeah.
But I think it's not a one-off. When I do it, it's a one-off. It needs to be something that's more consistent.
Yeah.
Because usually we divide and conquer.
Yep.
And with divide and conquer, I take a kid, she takes a kid, and we get what we need to get done. Who that?
I don't know.
Hold on. Let's also talk about that off camera because I want to know exactly, like I want to build in something in our schedule that makes sense so you can expect the time that you'll give, but also be realistic. Last 2 nights, I've been so tired. I've been passing out randomly. We're both, this isn't the type of polarizing relationship where one person does everything and the other person does nothing.
No.
We both pushing it to the limits in our individual lanes. Neither one of us have capacity for much more. But much to my point earlier, that's the tough thing about partnership is you don't have capacity. And
so what?
and you're still responsible for meeting the needs of your partner. The woman needs more time. I have to find a way to give her more time. No, I'm glad you said it out loud because I sense it. But I sense a lot of things that if you don't confirm it, I'm not just about to live in a prison of my assumptions. And while
like
it might
I
be,
would.
and while it might be easy to say, well, all you got to do is talk about it. Do you know how many things we talk about a day?
Yeah.
How many touch points?
And then to bring this up on top of that.
On top of all the stuff about the kids, about the house, who paying what bill, who paid this, did you cover this, did you got that, what's this upcoming credit card bill, who's due, what can we drop, do we need a nanny, could we go to your aunt, I gotta take her car in for service, my car got rear-ended the other week, I got a trip, when I come back, I gotta go to the barber shop, she gotta get her lashes done, she gotta get her bob trimmed, it's a million things, and that's only a quarter of it. You can't always talk about everything. That's an idealistic perspective of a relationship. But I think you're right. And I do want that for you because I see it. I see the exhaustion. And I know when you're internalizing. I can't always
My default is internalizing.
I can't always pay attention to it. Yeah, because I got my own stuff going on. And some stuff is our collective stuff. Some stuff is her stuff. That's her stuff to handle. It has nothing to do with me.
Individual people.
Individuals. She's not my mom. I can't put everything on her. Some stuff that's my cross to bear. She can't do nothing for me in that area, even though it impacts our relationship. So, yeah, boo, I'm glad you said that out loud. And, I know you're working on it, but please internalize less and share more.
I just, it's easier said than done.
Of course, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But just know if it gets to a point where it feels like too much, I'll let you know.
I think what support looks like for me in this area is, I know you can see me from a mile away, But
Sometimes.
there's a part of me that still feels like I'm smarter than all men. You know what I mean? Like, I think all women in some capacity just think like, y'all just don't get it, and I know everything. We don't give y'all enough credit.
It's an insane gender bias that a lot of women carry.
It is clearly.
It's an insane gender bias.
If you're watching this, you are aware, you participate, or it frustrates you. You know, like, it's one of those three things. And I feel like support for me looks like calling it out, because it's not always me internalizing it. Sometimes it's me not just having the language, because I didn't have a mom who talked to me openly about feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't have that safe space where my default isn't to go into this delusional headspace where I'm making up things. Like, that's my go-to. I didn't even know that there was an option to not live there. So there's just a lot of things that are new. You know, I feel like I'm grown and I'm a mom and, you know, I'm married, and there's some things like that I should know, but I don't. And I don't know what I don't know. So I would appreciate it if you can just kind of call it out when you see it, because I trust you to continue to be tender with me, to continue to be open. Because like, sometimes I didn't realize it bothered me until you said it. That you had, maybe when you were in Bermuda, I forget who you were talking to, but you came back and I was like, yeah, I didn't know he thought that.
And look, I couldn't even think about that until I was in a hotel room by myself on a day where I didn't have to think about anybody but myself. And that was the first time I've had that in 7 years, maybe. I didn't have to worry about, I got this one night by myself, but tomorrow I had to jump back into husband and fatherhood.
Yeah.
I had a quiet moment to just reflect and think about the way that I think. And my wife came up. A lot of things came up, but my wife came up, and I thought about her and how I could support her. But I needed a moment just away from the craziness of our life, just to be able to hear myself think. You know? So it just speaks to the idea that relationships are this give a little, get a little. If you're listening to this, I hope you take this moment to self-reflect and think about the things that your partner can be doing, but also take some of that stuff internal. What do you need in order to be able to hear what's going on with your partner? Because in order to get you that, they might need a little something. And in order to get the thing that they need, you know, it's just you might have to give something. In order to give something, you might need something from them. It's just a cup that pours into a cup that pours into a cup that pours into a cup in a never-ending chain. Word to Moana, you know.
Yeah.
That's valid. And I think I can do that.
Thanks, boo.
Yeah, I was just talking to one of E's classmates, her dad yesterday. I was thinking about taking the girls out Saturday. Can I just get my one complaint off?
Go ahead. Hold on, let me finish my laugh.
I gotta get this off.
Okay, go ahead.
Man, the kids are not fun to hang out with. There's so much work, and I always end up coming home tired and blown because I don't have any time for myself during the week, and then they take my weekends. E takes my whole Sunday, and then if I get them out of the house Saturday, E and Sydney gonna take my whole Saturday. But that's not to make you feel bad. It's just to say, if I don't get that part off, I'll do this, and I'm gonna feel away, and then you're gonna be like, and then it's gonna taint the thing.
Yeah, and I'm gone Saturday.
Are you gone Saturday?
Yeah, that's the balanced black girl. And I have Majita's baby shower.
It's okay. It's
But
in the calendar?
I think so. I'll check. But I'm gone from like 5 to 9. Like,
Okay.
I'm gone later in the day.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll get them out the house early in the morning, and I'll come back midday in time for Sydney's nap. If you could just give me a skid of free time, 2 hours just to decompress,
That's fine.
Rest of the day I
That's
got
fine.
you. Don't even worry.
I'll
about
even wake up early and make them their favorite breakfast. I'll make chocolate chip pancakes so they
it.
don't
Yo, if I could
move.
sleep in a little
I
bit,
got you.
man.
You sleeping on Saturday? Yeah, sleeping on Saturday.
I might take them to the circus. You gonna miss that though.
That's cool.
You sure?
I'm about to have a girls' day.
It's gonna be elephants and stuff.
Nah, I'm cool. It's
Okay.
all right.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a little jealous, but
I'm gonna take them to the circus.
nah, take them to the circus.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
about
All
that.
right. We lit. Okay. All right. Now I'm
All
excited
right.
about Saturday.
So I do have another question for you. So you mentioned before, and I feel like there are a lot of listeners or viewers who can kind of relate to this, is, you know, we're talking a lot about, I feel like I have a clear-ish idea of one way that I can support you, but I know that like you're in a space where you don't really know what you need. And I think that this is a difficult conversation for it to be back and forth if one party doesn't actually know. what they need. So what can I do to give you that time and the space? Because clearly Bermuda was helpful. I think you're the type of person that needs solo time that's not work related to really.
That's so tough.
Yeah, but it's just like, I feel like it starts with just time and space. Like, Saturday morning doesn't count. You being able to sleep in, that's not time for you.
Nah, I got
You know
it.
what I mean?
I know what I need.
Okay.
I need for you to give me, it's going to sound crazy. I would have thought that a simp said this before I got married, but I need you to give me permission to, like, get up out the house on Saturday and leave and not have to worry about y'all sometimes.
Got it.
It can't be a weekday because I always work.
Got it.
I need Saturday, babe, from 8 to 4, not from 8 to 7, just deuce out.
Okay.
Or from 2 on to the rest of the day, you good. If I just need a half a day to myself.
Yeah, that's fine.
Where I do things that I like and I don't have to worry about y'all.
Do you feel like, I know you don't feel like I don't give you that time, but you need me to be proactive.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Or else I feel guilty.
I got it.
Because if I say, babe, I need you to hold the girls down today, your face going to be like, yo. And I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I'll just stay here.
Yep.
And I'm going to say this. I'm going to advocate for men in a space where men don't advocate for themselves.
I'm looking at my calendar to pick some Saturdays for you.
Appreciate that. Sometimes we talk a lot about the men who don't do enough. This growing negativity bias with men where men have become, good men are invisibilized to the point where the narrative is so big on men that aren't doing what they're supposed to do that the men that do what they're supposed to do, we don't see them or validate their humanity. They don't exist. The men who are doing what they're supposed to do are like the A student in the class full of badass kids, where the teacher say, oh, I'm not worried about you. You the A student. And then they focus on all the kids who aren't doing the right thing. But what they don't realize is that A student didn't eat this morning. That A student needs your individual one-on-one's attention. That A student needs you to realize that even though their grades are good, their mental health is suffering. They need you to connect them to services. They need you to help them see a counselor. But societally, we worry about the men who the toxic masculinity and the black men who say, I hate wide noses and 4C hair, and we focus on all of these men who are not doing what they're supposed to and putting bad representations of men out in public, and then they get to speak for all men somehow. And that's really frustrating, and it's frustrating to be an invisibilized man. Tracy Ellis Ross said this about me. She said in that thing, put the podcast, Tracy Ellis Ross did an episode of a podcast that was about my life. And it's crazy. It made me so emotional. I never heard my life read back to me before. But Tracy Ellis Ross said, it's funny that I don't have the words to tell you what kind of man that Kier is without comparing it to something bad. That's where we are. And I get it. I get the frustration with men. I get it. I get the historic frustration. But the current conversation around masculinity and men, one, that's how we ended up here in this country. And two, it's not going to age well. Women are doing an amazing job of building a community for each other. Specifically, black women are killing it right now. Black men specifically have a need gap. It's getting bad. We just found out there's more at the HBCU. Just please let me get this off. At the HBCU Howard, there are less black men enrolled than there are non-black students.
Wow.
There is a hope gap with men. Men feel hopeless. Black men feel hopeless. That's what this ridiculous grasp of power in this country is about. That's another story. But this will not age well. It's not going to age well, and I think that men are going to have a turn. There's going to be an emotional renaissance at some point. And
where do you think you fit into that? Because I think
in the mother effing forefront.
Yeah, I see it.
I see it too.
I see it.
I just did this thing
clearly.
with BET, and me and rapper G Herbo were talking about mental health, and I challenged a lot of his perspectives. I challenged the perspectives of a lot of the men on set, and I think men are this close, so close to this mass emotional breakthrough, and when it happens, it's going to require a lot of society that I don't think we have the fundamental tools to deal with. But I appreciate you seeing my humanity, babe. Real talk. Of course. I appreciate you seeing me as a human.
Baby, you were a human before you were any of this. You know, this is new. The Kier that y'all know, not new as far as like he's changed, but like this level of where he is new. But like I know you the person. I knew you before all
not
of this.
Not the protector provider who's supposed to have nothing for himself.
I knew you.
Be a
was
husk.
just a fine man with a bow tie in the club.
Right,
like why he wearing a bow tie in the club?
Because I was working in the community.
Fine,
I had to inspire the men who just got released from prison who I was trying to find jobs for.
But you've been doing this for a really, really, really long time.
I'm true to this, man. I ain't new to this.
But what I will say though is I think like platforms like this, like while I do believe that you are going to be at the forefront of the modern mental health movement in general, but especially for men and especially for Black men, I think forums like this, like the sit down talk, the content that you put out there with your daughters, with our daughters, our babies, the content that you put out there with me, just your day to day, like I think that we are creating language. I think that we are creating, I know we always say soft place to land. Like I'm telling you that theme, I don't know if that's going to be the name of our foundation or something, but like that concept is going to be something really, it just feels like us. And I just feel like we're creating space, conversations, words, language, and everything for there to be fertile ground for that to take off. Like I just think that we have to continue doing what we're doing now, being open and honest about what it really looks like, in order for like I said, for there to be fertile ground for that to really grow from it. I think we're close.
I'm down for it, man.
I think it's going to take some time.
I'm down for it.
I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime, but I think things are changing. I think relationships are changing. I think that the relationship between, I'm just going to say it, Black men and Black women have been, I don't know, perpetuated in a certain way in media in general, not just social media, but there's another side to this that has always existed and is finally getting some light. Like it's all Black men ain't shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like that whole mentality, that's not true for everybody. That's true for some people. That might even be true for a lot of people. But one, there's nuances. It's not a blanket statement. Two, there's so much that can be done when conversation is open.
Yeah.
And maybe I know I'm a serial optimist, but I've seen it in my relationship. I see it in my conversations with my family, with my parents now. I see it with my friends and their husbands. I see it in a way that I've never seen it before, which goes to show me, one, that it always existed, or two, it's changing for the better. And both are good things to me.
I agree. And another thing is that people are a little too chronically online. I've never had a conversation. I rarely have conversations with women in real life where it's a contentious, unproductive conversation.
Yeah.
I rarely have that in real life. People are much more insufferable online than they are in real life. Stop having a conversation with people on Threads. Have a conversation with somebody in real life. Don't give me. Let us. Are we landing the plane, or we got some more flying to do?
I just got one more question to kind of. I got a couple questions. I'm trying to figure out which one. I'm just gonna pick one.
I didn't mean, oh Lord. I just didn't expect you to say that.
I really like this question. What do you feel the most proud of us right now, even though we're still figuring stuff out? Like at this stage in our life, we're about to be married for 6 years, y'all.
That's crazy.
Together going on 11 years.
It's already been, I think it'll be 12 in October. No, 11 in October.
I'll start and I want you to end. I am really proud of the fact that I know I talk a lot about the business, but like I haven't seen too many opportunities or examples where I feel like couples are so intimately tied business wise that are also on the same wavelength emotionally. Yeah. And I feel like this is a peak situation for things to go left. Kier has mentioned this before, and he hates when people have like comparison conversations. Like, people that I talk to be like, oh, don't you want to do social media too? I know you wanted to go into coaching. I know you want to do all of these things. What is it like for Kier? Like, do you feel resentment? I don't feel resentment. I can see how you can think that how I feel is resentment, but I don't feel resentment. Like, and one, I know Kier hates when I say this too, like, you can't compare yourself to Kier Gaines, no matter who you are. This man is brilliant. He's a licensed therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist.
Thanks,
he's brilliant for a reason. And I feel like when you have too many people that are trying to be the face of everything, that one, it doesn't work, and two, like, people really downplay the position of the vice president, the vice whatever, the CFO, the COO, the second in command. Like,
a CEO don't know how to send an email.
But it's just like, clearly everybody's not meant to be number one. Everybody's not meant to be that. And if I'm not upset with being number one, why are you making me feel bad for being, I'm the best number two here? You listen, number one won't be number one if it wasn't for me.
And look, and number one don't feel like you number two. Number one feel like you number one at number one B.
But I'm just proud that I get these conversations all the time from like well-meaning people. Like I get the question, I get the curiosity around the dynamics of our business, but like I just love how it would have been so easy for me to be in my head about things. Like I just lost a really big brand opportunity, not because
Not
I
her
did
fault.
anything wrong, but it just didn't work out. And then I still got paid for it.
Yeah.
And like, I can totally see, or like even when we get brand deals in general, like a lot of the times if they come to me, we still pitch Kier because the money's going to the same place anyway. And we'll make more money if it's on his page than if it's just on my page. So I can see how if I just really wanted to be an influencer, how I can be jealous, resentful, and all of those things. But like, I really just want to promote a message. And I feel like my message, my voice, my face is seen. So like, I'm good. And I'm just proud that we've been able to maintain this space, even though like could have gone left real fast.
Trying to decide, man, because that bothers me when people say that.
Go ahead, go on for the tangent and then answer the question and we can land the plane. Go
I
ahead,
would
boo.
really appreciate it if women who have challenges around being in competition with their spouses and women who have challenges around their own sense of adequacy and value don't project those feelings onto my wife. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm not number one. I'm number 1A or number 1B. You're number 1A. We make decisions together. You're not my subordinate. You're my co-pilot. We do this thing together.
You see him, I'm not far behind. I might be right there too.
You right. We shoulder to shoulder. Like that's how we rock. That's my philosophy. I'm never moving away from that.
I love that.
I'm proud that these kids are jumping us and we are not angry at each other. We never.
I couldn't even imagine being angry at
Babe.
you because of it. They don't got nothing to do with us.
Babe, I'm telling you, you need to hop in a couples counseling session. People have misplaced anger all the time.
Yeah, because like they feel like somebody isn't like doing their share.
Or the person is doing their idea.
I feel like you
of
getting
the
jumped
job.
just like me. Like I don't feel like you can. How you gonna save me? You getting jumped too.
But that same comparison and sense of inadequacy and sense of entitlement that I just
No,
talked
that's
about.
real. No, I do feel
it
that
transfers directly into parent partnerhood.
Not that I feel that way. I mean, I understand how people feel that way.
I'm proud of us because we're a team. We have a common enemy, and it's the kids. Period. Exclamation mark in a sentence. Semicolon.
All right, let's land it. I'm good.
That was a really good informative conversation, man.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
We're still gonna land this plane. So Kier is being super modest, but he has a course coming out on communication with couples. What's it called again? Take your
Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of my own course. I'm blanking right now. It's a course about couples communication. It's just about listening to understand. It's about saying the thing that needs to be said, but in a way that your partner can receive. It's a 3-module course, and you won't find anybody selling a course for under $500.
Yeah.
My course is going to be very inexpensive.
This course. So the last that I heard of this course, so the way that Kier and I kind of work together business wise is the idea process is
crazy.
always I mean, how did I just work on it yesterday? Listen, the way that we kind of handle business is we go through the idea phase together. And usually I'm around for like the shooting. I was around for the shooting of this, but when it comes to like the editing and actually putting it out there, the final product, 9 times out of 10, I don't know what the final product looks like. I just know idea, pen to paper, he puts it together, and then I help with everything afterwards. So part of the course is there's these like quizzes that you can take, and it was my responsibility to do the quizzes. And I use like the script from the courses, and I kind of use some of his notes to kind of build out what these quizzes will look like. And when I was testing them, I actually took the quizzes. So I basically took the course.
Was it helpful for you?
Oh my, and I'm just like, I know my man's smart, and I know, our relationship is good. And like sometimes
I love that.
And this is a very like honest moment. Sometimes I be listening to what Kier be saying. I be like, duh, you know what I mean? And one of the things that Kier does, he really takes these like complicated concepts and gives them to you in little bite-sized pieces so that you're easily able to digest them. Like that's literally what he does. That's his model. But a lot of the time, I don't feel like his content is for me, the person, because I feel like we've kind of elevated in our relationship. So when I was going through the course, I was like, wow, this is really helpful, because I think you distinguish like between communication style, expression style, and like something else. And I was just like, wow, like I'm actually different. in a lot of these ways, in the 3 ways that we're analyzing ourselves, but I'm also different from where I was 10 years ago to where I am now.
That's the goal.
And then I think a lot of times when we think of like mental health thing, you're like, well, I'm good. Like, I'm not aggressive. I'm, let's say assertive. But even if you do have an assertive communication style, there are things you need to watch out for. There's no A, B, C mark on, assertive is an A and aggressive is a D. It's not necessarily like that.
It's not that cut and dry.
And to frame it in that way so that, like, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't need therapy, I'm good. Everybody needs therapy. Everybody needs self-help, analyzation, all of those things. So to be able to take the course essentially and then take something from it as somebody who feels like I don't necessarily need the course was really like, that was the mind blown kind of part for me, because I'm like, oh, this really is for everybody, not just people who are struggling in their relationships, and definitely still for people who feel like they have good communication. Communication is like a process. It's not like a one-time thing that you do. It's always going to change. So like, I just was really impressed.
That's what's up.
And I can't wait for this course to come out. I'm so excited about it.
And it's also for people who aren't in a current relationship. So the course isn't out yet, but it'll be out very soon. It's going to be really accessible. I'm going to make it dumb cheap. I can't tell you the price. I haven't decided yet, but it's going to be less.
We got to talk to our manager first.
But either way, it's going to be more accessible. Good luck finding a therapist on IG or anywhere that has a course for less than 600. Good luck to you. But that's going to, it's not out right now, but we're going to put the link below. Just sign up for my mailing list and I'll shoot it to you once it's out. It'll be really good for you. But that's going to be it for us today. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you're an audio listener, thank you for listening. If you're a YouTube watcher, thank y'all for watching. Hit the subscribe button so we can know you family for real, and then make sure you hit the notification button on YouTube so you can know of all of our posts as soon as they post. And make sure that if you are an audio listener, you leave us a review.
Or a message.
We have that capability.
Yeah, we have a message where you can send us a text message. We would love to hear from you.
But until next time, y'all be good, and we'll see y'all then. Take care.